What a great trailer. And what a great program. And what a great actor. I'm very honored and happy to welcome Roose Bolton, aka Michael McElhatton. Please come on stage.
Hello.
Hi. Hi and welcome.
Hello.
So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's I can't see any of you, so that's a huge advantage, and I wasn't pelted with any rotten fruit, considering the antics I've been up to for the last few seasons. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, you look quite nice, because normally you're always wearing this very heavy leather stuff. And
yeah,
you
and
look
furs.
really
well,
big
I live
and
in the
strong.
north. You know, I live in the north, and it's pretty cold up there. So you know, we kind of sleep in our furry cloak that you can see there. So.
Okay, but I'm very
It's a
glad.
little warmer here today.
Yeah, it's very warm today, to be honest. But it's great that you made your way here, and it's very nice to talk to someone in your role who is such a villain. There are many bad characters in Game of Thrones, but you're one of the baddest or meanest.
Yeah,
probably.
he probably is one of the meanest. Well, I don't see him that way. I see him as a, you know, I don't think you can approach him to play him like a baddie. He's you know, he's a very practical man, and he is out to really uphold his house, House Bolton. That is, like Tywin Lannister or any of the heads of any of the houses, it's his primary objective to look after the house and for its longevity, and to look after its heir or find its heir and keep it going. So yes, his methods are a little harsh and a little cruel.
Yeah, it's a very nice description. That could be almost anybody else, but
could be any politician, I suppose. Yeah,
but he's meaner, and he's an interesting character because he's not, as you know, when you see Ramsay, you know exactly who he is and how mean he is. But with Roose, it's slightly different.
Yeah, it's more. I suppose it's more really what Roose doesn't say than what he does say. Ramsay, it's, you know, pretty upfront. You know, you pretty much what that guy is up to. Really, I don't think there's any other hidden secrets there. But Roose is a much. He plays the long game, and you never really know what he's thinking or what he's doing. And I think that's why something like the Red Wedding was such a shock, and in the way it was done. And I think that was one of the primary goals of Dan and David, the two showrunners, that in the books he's a more obviously creepy guy and weird guy, but they made him a very strong ally of Robb Stark, which added to the shock factor of the Red Wedding, really.
So you just mentioned the book. Have you read the books?
I read the first two after I was offered the role, and then I'm a very slow reader. And then we started the series, and then I realized that the character in the series is written very differently. It's the same trajectory, and he does the same things, but in the books, and I'm sure a lot of you know and have read the books, he's a more obviously creepy guy. You can't read any emotions on his face. You know, people describe him, you know, anger and joy seem pretty much the same in his face. He talks in a whisper. He has regular leechings. And then when we got to the first day of shooting, he wasn't written like that, and I had to change it kind of completely. So how
was that process? Because you were preparing for a different kind of character, and then
yeah,
you came to
so
set
I just couldn't really learn on the first day, and it was the aftermath of the battle.
Okay.
And I was absolutely terrified. And I remember just kept looking over to Dan and David going, is that right? And they went, yeah, that's what we want. They keep going. So that's where.
So what were you thinking when they called you that you sort of like in? Was it like because you were doing a casting, or how did you get it? What was your first impression?
I went up for it in the first season, and I went for many roles in the very first season, and didn't get any of them. And then I thought, well, they're not interested. They've moved on. And then I think they were probably halfway through the casting of the second season, and I just got a call about playing this guy, Roose Bolton, and I didn't know anything about him. So I immediately went to my friends and asked, and they said, "Oh no, it's a great part. It's a really good part." You know.
Okay, so you were jumping up high up and saying yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I made it.
Well, I wasn't going to say no, was I? You know.
Okay.
So.
Thank God you didn't.
Yeah.
So, but what's the greatest challenge portraying Roose as an actor?
Well, I mean, it's all given to you. I mean, the scripts are so fantastic, and the scenes are so fantastic, and it's, you know, it's everything you could want, really. You know, and also the characters, the actors you get to work with, and the directors. So, it's not really a challenge, really. It's given to you, and it's a joy to play. It's a real joy to play. I suppose the odd thing, I've never been in a series that is on running where you don't know what's going to happen to the character next. Normally, with a play or a film or even a mini-series, there's a beginning, middle, and an end. Where with this, you just have to play it in the moment, and you can't. You know, I try not to listen to any of the many theories that are online or stuff like that, because you can only play what you're given and what you're written, and that's exactly what the writers and the showrunners want you to do.
But isn't that something really different to the normal work? Because if you, as you just mentioned, normally you know where it's going to, the character,
Yeah.
and you see the end, and here it's so open. Isn't it more difficult to play
Well,
such
no,
a...
you just play the scenes that you have.
Okay.
And I think if we knew the end, maybe you would play it differently, you know?
Okay.
So I think, who knows, you know, and maybe in season 6, Ruse will turn out to be a really cuddly, nice guy with a pipe and slippers. And we love him.
I won't believe that, okay.
I doubt it, but anything can happen.
So, but what is more interesting for you as an actor? Normally the villain guys are more interesting, aren't they? Because there are more aspects in the portraying of the person, because you can be mean and you can be more...
Yeah, and you get, you know, it's great playing the baddies. Good guys are hard to play. The baddies often get the best lines, and, you know, great costumes, and you know, so yeah, I love playing him. He's a joy to play. But I don't view him as a villain or as a baddie, really. And what's really interesting is my relationship with my son, and I think I love all the parent-child relationships in the series. They're incredibly complex and incredibly real. And I suppose in the Ramsey-Ruse relationship, it's a bastard son who desperately needs the love and respect and affection of a father who refuses to give it to him. But is, you know, they use each other, and that's a really interesting dynamic, but I don't think either trusts each other at all. And
I wouldn't trust Ramsey.
No, and I wouldn't trust Ruse either.
Yeah,
you know?
You're right.
And I think Ruse is probably the smarter player. So who knows what's going to happen really in the next season? I presume everybody here has seen season 5, have they? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
very
not giving
good.
away any spoilers, but you know. You could say, you know, if you love somebody in Game of Thrones, if a character, you're in a very vulnerable position.
Very
you know,
much.
You know,
You're totally right. Never
you know,
trust on
never
anybody.
fall in love and don't have kids, and
Yeah.
you know, you'll be fine. But I've got one, and I've got another one on the way. And there's rumors in the books that Ramsay has killed my previous 2 sons. So I don't know, it would appear like he's left himself in a very vulnerable position, but I think he's smarter than that. But who knows, we haven't even seen the scripts for season 6, so.
So you don't know either?
Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. If one
we
scene
have to-
one, Ruse gets it in the back, I don't know.
Okay, we will see then.
We'll see.
But it's a very interesting relationship they both have, Ramsay and his father. Because when I saw it, I wasn't really sure why he said, yes, I will accept you as a son. And then the heir comes, and the normal way would be, okay, sorry, now you're out of the way because I have an heir.
Yeah.
And so it's quite interesting that he's sort of like keeping him in the level as the real son.
Yeah, well, he legitimized him at the end of 4, and I suppose that was probably before Walda got pregnant, I'm assuming, you know, and he has proved himself to be a great tactician, and he took Moat Caelan for me, which was against unsurmountable odds, and which helped me become Warden of the North. So he's pretty good in battle. He's very useful, despite his psychotic tendencies. And
Poor Sansa.
even when he went out to you know, to Stannis, he helped really there, you know, defend Winterfell. So he's useful in that way. But at the same time, maybe Roose sent him out hoping maybe he'd get killed. Or if he did get killed, it wouldn't be much of a matter because he now has another child. So you never know. I think that's what's interesting about him. It's in some situations, it's a win-win for the character.
It's very interesting because when working on this Game of Thrones thing, besides that it's very, very famous and very, very loved by many people, what's the main difference for you to work on this specific series? Is it totally different to others?
Oh, it's totally different, yeah.
Why?
Well, just something on the scale and the size of it.
Okay.
I've never worked on anything. Everybody who works on it is at the top of their game. The scripts are incredible. The cast you get to work with are incredible. The costumes, the sets. Just you go on set and there's no imagining required. I mean, Winterfell is there. It is a giant castle. You can walk around the battlements. It's incredible. You know, like 40 horses come riding up, and with 40 riders, it's.
Does that help?
Yeah,
in acting?
it's
because
incredible.
it feels more real.
Well, you just see that you're in a team of incredible people. So going to work, you really have to step up to the plate. You know, you really have to be prepared because a working day on Game of Thrones is a pretty full-on working day, and we kind of shoot from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening, right through with no lunch break.
Wow.
Maybe 2, 3 cameras, and you do one scene, maybe 2 per day max. Wow. So it's very intense. You do a lot of takes, and that's why it's so good, because they have time and they have money and they spend it on the season. But it's so it always blows my mind every time I go up there.
You just mentioned the costumes. Are they really, because especially your ones look really heavy?
They're really, really heavy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's high def, which can be a blessing in some ways. But no, the chainmail I wear is real. It's like a full shirt down to here, and it's real metal. So I think between that and the cloak, and on a muddy day, it's like the equivalent of carrying an 8-year-old child on your back. So it's pretty heavy.
And you need a lot of help to put it on and take it off.
Well, it's particularly tricky getting on and off horses, yeah.
Okay.
If you throw your leg too high, and you could end up in the mud.
So no accidents at all?
No accidents at all, no.
You also mentioned the Red Wedding scene, which is probably one of the most famous scene in all seasons together. How was that done? Because it's very hard and it's very intense.
It was one of the most extraordinary filming experiences I've had. It took 5 days to shoot, and a fantastic director called David Nutter directed it, and he's a kind of a legend in America. He's done something like 16 pilots that have all gone to series.
Okay.
And we all met, everybody rehearsed it for half a day, I think, and we rehearsed it like a play. And we ran it from the start right to the very end till Caitlyn's throat is slashed. And we ran it, and we ran it, and ran it. And he just shouted orders at, like Rob runs forward, Rob gets hit with an arrow, first band of Starkmen come up, they're hit, Ruse, get out of there, Caitlyn under the table. And we ran it, and we ran it, and we ran it. So we knew the whole effect that it would have, and that was really incredibly helpful to the actors. And then at the end of the day, he said, we'll do up to this point Monday, this point Tuesday.
Okay.
And it took 5 days. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, the lighting was like a Vermeer painting. I remember there was a guy just going around with his iPad, just changing it. And it was incredible. And on the last day, it was incredibly moving. It was the last day of Michelle Fairley, who plays Caitlyn, and Richard Madden, who plays Rob. And they'd been in the series for 5 years, and they were dying, and it was going to be the end of it. And it was very palpable, the emotion in the room. And they didn't want to leave, and I think Richard just finished crying, and he just left and got in a plane and went. And so it was a big, big moment, because for the younger actors as well, it's been, and for all the actors involved, but particularly somebody like Richard, it was like his second or third job, and such a huge part. So, but all of that added to the brilliance of the scene, really.
And how is it being in a series for such a long time? Because it's different. Normally you do something, you shoot it, then it comes out, and you do something else, and you sort of, but you don't feel like, not stuck is probably the wrong word, but it's a very long period. You're working with the same people. So is this Is
Well,
it
actually,
helpful?
it's the opposite, actually, because we work incredibly few days on Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I mean, it shoots over 5 months with 3 full units, but generally, on average, a scene takes probably a day to shoot. Most characters are probably in one scene. Not every character is in all 10 episodes, so quite feasibly, you could be in 5 or 6 episodes, do 5 or 6 days filming, and be a lead character in the series.
Okay.
So it takes up an incredibly short amount of time.
So is it hard to go back into?
No, it's
again?
very easy. I mean, look, I've been doing it a long time now, so it's not. So someday, I could do a day. I might end up doing a day in July and not film again, do another maybe 2 days in September or something like that. But it's great. No, it's a dream gig.
I can imagine that.
Dream gig.
So you also said that you get upfront, you get the whole script from the whole season, which is normally you get two,
Yeah, I think
and
that's
then
one of
they
the
start
one of the
rewriting.
strengths of it, because it's such a labyrinthine plot, and all 10 scripts arrive and will arrive any day, I hope, and we get them, and they don't change. The odd line might change, but for all the departments, it's set out, and that is not the way with TV. Generally, you may get the first few episodes and the writing as it goes on. So you know exactly the story, it's set in stone, and the dialogue, you're not allowed to change the dialogue, nor would
No
you want to,
improvisation, okay.
because it's so well written, So
If there would be someone out there who has never seen Game of Thrones, how would you describe it? What is the strengths or the phenomena about it, besides being accurate and having all these great actors and the costumes and the locations? What makes it so special?
Well, it's billed as a fantasy, but I don't really see it as a fantasy. I mean, I think it's a family and political drama with incredibly complex characters and incredibly complex storylines, which just weaves tighter and tighter with each season. And they come obviously from a fantastic source material in George R.R. Martin's books. But it's, I suppose, where Lord of the Rings is about good and evil, Game of Thrones is all the stuff in between, all the gray areas in between. And it's the characters, I think, that people really love. And there are so many, and they are so varied, and everybody can see something in them. And I think it's their relationships and the way the characters change. We hate characters, and then 2 or 3 seasons in, we empathize and sympathize with them, and vice versa, like we do in life and like we do with people and our friends and people we don't know. And I think that's one of the real strengths of the writing. And it still shocks and amazes me. I read the scripts around this time of the year, and then I watch it when it comes out in around March and April, and I still watch it on my couch going, and get excited and thrilled
Although
and amazed.
you've
Yeah.
written,
And like
read it.
most things you read, you imagine it in a certain way, and very rarely is it as good as you imagined it. But Game of Thrones always is as good and frequently better, which is quite a testament to it, I think.
And it's very modern. It's okay, everyone is wearing old clothes, and it's in a certain period of time, but the conflicts between the people and the political conflicts are very modern. That's probably one success as well. Because
yeah, but they're arguing, they're the same, things that happened 500 years ago, aren't they? It's struggle for power and infidelity and lust and greed, and it's all the classic emotions. And I think one of the, as I said earlier, the parent-child relationships, I love those things. I think they're really interesting. Parents who are disappointed in their children, children who hate their fathers, mothers, whatever like that. I think they're universal themes that have been around for centuries, aren't they?
And because sometimes I know a few people who said it's too brutal for them, but it is, of course, very hard and brutal sometimes. But I think it's necessary in a way, because these times, if one could imagine of the Middle Age, of course, it was very brutal at that time. So it's
there's
sort of
no
like
courts.
realistic.
I mean, there was one scene with Tyrion in the courts, but it's live and die by the sword, and it is a very brutal world, and that was set up very clearly in the first scene with Sean Bean. That was so shocking. you know? And I think violence should be shocking and ugly and brutal and short, and it is. And I think the violence is never gratuitous or... I know there was an awful lot of controversy about the rape recently, and I don't want to really talk about that, but I thought it wasn't sexualized or normalized or trivialized.
No, not at all.
You know? And I thought it was brilliantly done. So yes, it is a cruel and vicious and violent and ugly world, but I think it's done incredibly well, you know?
Yeah, you just mentioned...
And lots of people, I'm sure, cheer when, you know, the people they don't like get their head chopped off, you know? Yay!
And they're very brave, because it was the first program I've ever seen where they kill the main character of first season at the end. And you were just like, they cannot do that. Why? They're really brave, and they're doing it all the time, as we all know.
Yeah,
we've seen it.
And you never guess. I think that's what's really brilliant. They always wrong
Never be
foot
friend
you.
with someone in the program.
Yeah. Well, never love anybody in Game of Thrones, because you're... Don't have kids and don't fall in love in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
And
it's
you'll
a
be
hard...
fine.
Have you ever met George R.R. Martin?
I have. I met George R. Martin. And
so how is he? Because when you see him, just so
he's under pressure to write books, is he?
Yeah, of course. So
I met him at breakfast. We had the premiere in San Francisco, and I said, how are you doing? I said, yeah, how are you getting on? And he said, good. And I said, are you sitting in on the edit for this? And he went, I really need to get writing.
So what will happen if he stops writing? Because there were always this rule. Okay, he won't.
I think he's just under huge pressure, you know, to do it, and I think he's probably going to do it at his own speed, as he should do, because the books are so good, and you know they'll come out whenever they need to come out.
So, because you said you don't know nothing about season 6 now. Nothing, but you know that you will be in there.
Yeah.
So you have a
Maybe
plan.
I won't be in 6 and I'll be in 7. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
So, okay.
But I don't know. But yes, there is the storyline now set up with.
So you don't have a shooting plan now already, where you know, okay, we'll be shooting
next year. No, I
next
literally
year.
know nothing. I know nothing. I know nothing. I know I'm in it. See, no, I do know I'm in.
So
season
never
6.
trust Game of Thrones.
I know I'm in season 6, but that is all I know. So.
Would you like to be, besides the decision of the author, would you like to be part of it till the very end?
Of course, yeah. It's an amazing thing to be part. As I said, everybody, all the departments you work with, and it's just such fantastic work and such gratifying work to do. And the directors you work with are all from, you know, originally in the first few series were from this fantastic stable of HBO who directed The Sopranos and The Wire and all these incredible shows. And so to get to work with people like that only raises your game. To work with the designers and the other actors. When you work at that level, you step up to the plate, and that's very, very exciting to do. So I think everybody would like to be in it to the end. But as we know, we won't. So I'm fully prepared for the chop this year, but you never know.
Yeah, prepare yourself.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to be in there, but probably everyone wants to ask questions. So now is the moment. Please raise your hands or arms, and we give you a microphone. And now is your chance. Are there any questions?
There's
Here
one.
In the front.
Yeah. Everyone who watches the show, like there are lots of characters and lots of storylines, and everyone like has a favorite to follow. Do you have one?
The Boltons.
What a surprise!
What a surprise! Oh, I love so many of the storylines. I loved all the small chamber stuff, and I loved Charles Dance and all those dynamics. I loved that the early stuff with him and Arya. Yeah, I love all the storylines. I can't think of any ones particular favorite. I love the Jamie and Brienne, you know, duo that went throughout season 3. God, I'm sorry, blanking now, but yeah, they would be, and the Boltons, obviously. They're just fab. Yeah.
More questions?
I read somewhere in the web that maybe Jon Snow will live again in season 6. Is that true? Do you know?
You know I can't answer that. Was the question that he will return in season 6? I do not know. I do not know, I'm sorry. But anything can happen. But as far as I've heard, no.
What a shame.
HBO have snipers everywhere. I can take me out.
Okay. So, next question, please.
Hi there, good evening,
Hello.
and welcome to Berlin.
Thank you.
I was just curious what it's like working with the child and teenage actors who are growing up as the season progresses, and if you could comment on that, please.
Sure. Well, I've worked with so few actors, really, you know, in Game of Thrones. In the first few seasons, it was Caitlin and Rob, and last year is with Sophie, who's grown up, and she's just a wonderful, wonderful actress, fantastic, and so is self-assured, and I think she loves the fact of her character's change now. You know, she's becoming this steelier, more grounded, and she's been groomed by Littlefinger. So, but she's been a pleasure, pleasure to work with. But I think she's the only younger actress I've worked with. But a real joy, a real joy.
Hello, good evening. I wanted to ask which character you were most shocked about when he or she died.
Well, Ned Stark, I think, was incredibly shocking. Even though I'd heard it and you watched it, I thought it was really, really shocking. I think I read the scripts, so it's hard. I thought that even though I knew the Red Viper's death, I jumped off the couch when I saw that moment and he had his skull crushed. It was an incredible sequence, and I was really, really shocked to see that. I was sorry to see Charles Dance go, but what a way to go on the toilet. But Ned, I think, Ned Stark probably was the most shocking. Yeah.
More questions?
Hi. I have a question. What would be your favorite kind of death in the series?
We will send an email to HBO.
An email, yeah.
I would like to die.
Oh, in a dragon fight, maybe. Burnt by a dragon, fighting a White Walker. God. Yeah, maybe one of those. Something kind of spectacular. I just don't want to be stabbed. That's a little too ordinary, isn't it? Yeah. I think, being burnt to death by a dragon or yeah.
Why is he not on Arya's list, by the way?
I don't know.
He must be on
I don't know, but don't
top
tell
one.
her. I don't tell her, yeah. No, Walder Frey is on, so I don't know why.
Yeah, on 2, probably.
I think he probably does he get top billing, really, in the list for the Red Wedding, really? And I'm probably second, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
So killed
that's a good thing, though. I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Killed by Arya.
Yeah. Oh, killed by Arya, yeah, that'd be good. I mean, I'd love
With
to
a dragon
I'd
and
love to see him
Arya.
with Arya. Arya is great.
Arya on a dragon.
Arya on a dragon. And me on a White Walker.
Wow. Interesting improvement. Any more questions?
Hi. I'd like to ask, do you hate Ramsay as much as we do?
Yes. No, it's strange, isn't it, that dynamic, how he lets him away doing all his sadistic things, and he lets him go so far, and then he just pulls the chain, and then he can just wound him, with a phrase. It's a very, very weird and strange relationship. But I don't hate him. I'm using him. I value his military. What's the word I'm looking for? Experience, his military experience, and he's proved useful to me. I don't think I trust him an inch, and I think I'm incredibly wary of him, and I think he's incredibly wary of me, but I don't hate him, but I think I lack, I don't respect his sadistic and evil qualities, really, and I'd like him to be more political, and as I said in the very first season of 5, it's, flaying a man is not the way forward. It's through marriage and befriending the the people of the North. So I'd like him to be more politic, I think. So, but I don't think he's going to change. No.
Befriending, wow. Interesting word. Okay, next one, please.
Just wanted to ask, who do you think will own the throne in the end? Or who will own the throne?
Who will own the throne?
Yeah. Or what would you wish that this character should own the throne?
Apart from me.
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't really thought about that. I don't know, who deserves to be on the throne? Daenerys, you think? Well, she's a bit of a wild card. I think there's so many people who are laying claim to the throne that really only want it for their own vanity, and they feel it's their right, and I don't know why they should be there. They don't seem to want to do anything truly good with gathering all these power and uniting all the nations or anything like that. So I've nobody at the moment who I think deserves to be there. But I'm sure maybe that will change. I think, Jon Snow, if he was still around, would have made a good leader. I really thought in the last season you saw him become a man, and the episode was Kill the Boy, and he did really rise, and I thought Kit did an amazing job, and you saw that he had leadership qualities, and he's one of the few good characters, like all the Starks are, But Arya's gone off now on some strange trajectory, so I don't know. But I don't know who deserves it really at the moment, so apart from me.
You will never get it.
No, I'll never get it. And that's assured.
So, any other questions?
Do you think that Rose Bolton is proud of his son, that Rose Bolton is proud of his son Ramsay because of it seems like in season 4 and 5, or does he think, or he thinks, I take what I have the son and I have no other?
Yeah, I think it is. I think he is his son. He is, and he doesn't have his 2 other children are dead, and his primary goal is to secure the house and keep House Bolton alive, like Tywin, similarly, or any of the heads of the houses. And it's about assuring that and assuring the bloodline and that carries on. And it's the best choice he has at the time, which is why he legitimizes him. And he tells him, after he's told him how he raped his mother, more or less that, you're my son, and that's as close as you're going to get to I love you, really. So I think at that point, but now the fact that there's another child on the way, maybe he's more dispensable. But he has proved very useful to me. And so I think he does. If there's affection is probably the wrong word, but it's about the bloodline of the house. And I think he is the only choice he has at the moment. Until the unborn. Not proud. I wouldn't say he's proud. No, I wouldn't say he's proud. But I think he certainly does not approve of his sadistic and cruel behavior at all. But he thinks he's a pretty good military guy. So.
But he never helps Sansa.
No, he didn't.
He's very.
Well, yeah, he is. Well, that's where he's very cold and
interested.
detached and strange, and he has no empathy or with that at all, Absolutely none. And the way he let him behave at that dreadful dinner party, it was incredibly cruel and twisted. And
he's more this kind of guy who pushes a red button and something happens far, far away, so you have no connection.
Yeah. Or he lets it go on for as long, and then he stops it, and Ramsay cowers, So, but I don't think he's proud, but he's useful to him for the moment. So even in the last scene where he said, "Give me 20 good men and let me go outside," and Roose could have had 2 ideas there. He may have said, "Well, go out and see what you can do," or at the same time, you could go out and you may get killed because it doesn't matter now because I have another heir, and maybe that will be useful to me. So, you never know. It's, as I said, it's probably more what he doesn't say rather than what he does say, which makes him very intriguing, I think.
So one last question, please.
Hi.
Hello.
I don't want to ask a question necessarily referred to the show, but rather to you as an actor. How do you deal with roles that you portray that are not good persons, let's say, or like as was said, are villains? How do you deal with such experiences? I mean, after portraying a character for years, isn't it the case that the character becomes sort of a part of yourself?
Well, I'm very like Bruce Bolton. That's why I got the part. No, it's just, it's something you just, you slip into when you do, really. So, but as I said earlier, the villains are great to play, and they get great lines and stuff like that. So, no, you just slip into it when you go to work. And I don't bring my work home with me. No. No.
So one last question, please.
Ja, mein Name ist Andreas. Einmal wollte ich wissen, wie sieht ein normaler Tagesablauf bei Ihnen aus?
I would translate that.
Okay.
Und ob Sie noch hier den Sommer genießen hier in Berlin.
Oh, okay. He wants to know what's your daily normal life? What you do when you're probably not, wenn nicht, if he's not. Okay. So when the shooting is, what's the normal daily schedule? Is it?
Oh, when I'm shooting Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Well, I travel to Belfast, which is about 2 hours from where I live. And they're very early mornings, and they're very, it's incredibly well organized. So when you're on that day, and you get up and you travel to the sets, which can either be in the center of Belfast or Winterfell is about a 45-minute drive outside of Belfast, and you go out there and you shoot your scene, and you shoot your scene from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening, and you do that and you wrap, and you may go out for a meal that night, or play some pool, or go to bed, or go home.
Pretty normal.
Yeah.
And how will you spend your summer? That was the second part of the question.
How will I spend my summer? Well, depending on the schedule, when we get our schedule, but I'm hoping to go away to France and maybe down to West Cork and Southern Ireland and spend some time down there. So I'm sure I'll be able to fit that in between filming Game of Thrones.
Don't get any color. Don't get any
No,
tan.
don't get any color. No.
There's
If I don't
Winterfell.
get killed in the first scene, or otherwise I'll have the whole summer free. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good time at the show.
Thank you very much.
And don't get killed too early.
I'll try not to.
Okay.
Thank you
very
much
much for coming.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.